Good morning and welcome again to Vision Media. My name is Stefan Senna, and I've begun this channel to fulfill my purpose and desire to be of assistance and help to anyone that may need it. And that's about it. I feel compelled to share any information that I might have learned or become familiar with that might be of use to anyone, no matter where you are on the planet. You might be sitting in a hut in India. You might be rowing a canoe down the Amazon later today. You might be sitting in a farmhouse in the Midwest. You could be sitting in a condominium in New York City. I don't know where you are. I don't know when you'll see this, and it may be that something that I have in my conversation today that you may find useful. So that is my purpose. There's no big, extravagant, shiny bells and whistles to go with that. It's simply me sharing part of me with you. And that's what being loving is. You're sharing part of yourself with others. Now, you don't have to do it on YouTube, and you certainly don't have to do it, acting at a Broadway play. You can do that every day in your house, with your family, at your work, with your friends and co-workers. You can do that to strangers when you're going to the grocery store, or anyone or anytime you meet anyone. Or it doesn't even have to be a person. It could be nature itself, taking a walk in the woods and just expanding your consciousness into the surroundings and allowing all creatures to know that you are a peaceful being, and that you mean no harm, and that you're open to inspiration and conversation on whatever level your consciousness is capable of doing at that point. So your life purpose is the subject of the video today, and you can find that anywhere. It doesn't have to be anything super special, but if you want it to be super special, then I say go ahead and do it, because there's nobody stopping you. In fact, you'll find that if you really think about it, if you're willing to let go of everything else that you seemingly are attached to, you can do pretty much anything. Now, I can't grow wings right now. That's not even practical. It would take me too much time to spend millions of years in scientific experimentations to try to figure that one out. The fact is, we're all born in a human body, and we have limitations. Another thing I'm not capable of doing is leaping 40 feet in the air. So it may be that, sure, we'll learn to levitate someday, but right now this human body has limits. So yours might have limits too. In general, besides that, however, using our minds and our hearts, we can do just about anything. If you want to be a mechanic, then you can learn mechanical skills. You can start by taking an abandoned dishwasher or lawnmower and taking it apart, looking at videos and figuring out how it functions, and then finding the tools it takes to work with such an item. If you want to be a teacher, then you could talk to teachers and ask them, what exactly did you do to become a teacher? And then investigate that and find out how to become a teacher. Whatever it is that you desire to do, then you can just do it. There's nobody stopping you. Let's say that you're in a rural area in a country where there seems to be no opportunity. What if you just decided to leave everything there is and walk, and you just kept walking, believing, either taking whatever resources you could with you, or riding a bike to a new area where there might be a different opportunity? Or perhaps you're in a city and you're surrounded by just the contraptions of the requirements to live in that city. You're paying high rent in some skyscraper in Chicago or New York, and you're just tired of having to work a job that consumes you constantly. You're doing well, but you really don't want all the distractions and the time requirements to live a peaceful life. Well, go buy an inexpensive house somewhere in the Midwest, South America, Europe, whatever it takes, but formulate a new life. And that's your life purpose. Life purpose is finding whatever it is that creates peace in your life. If you don't have a relationship you want, well, find out why. Maybe there's some reason why you're just not finding the right person. Habits are what generally gets in our way of finding what we really want. We might have the habit of just going to the same coffee shop every day, and the person you really want to meet never goes to that coffee shop. Or you might want a job that's different, and well, your small town just doesn't have those jobs, so move to a bigger city. Think about what's present in your life, then what might feel good to do, you might not even know, and then just start asking yourself, you're the universe, what would it be like to do this? Or what would it be like to do that? Perhaps there's something else that you really want to do. You're a creative person. Maybe you're a singer or an artist, and you'd really like to make a living doing that. And everything that you've read or somebody that's told you is that, well, that's just stupid. That's impossible. You can't become a singer. But when you think about it, how do people become singers today? During the pandemic, people were just getting on their video, using their phone as a video recorder, and they were singing and creating videos and posting them on YouTube. Some of those people went on to create very successful channels, and they're probably on Spotify right now if you look for them. So there's opportunities everywhere, and it's a matter of us just, just sitting back and going, what could the possibility be if I really gave myself a chance? And that's what finding your purpose entails. It entails sitting back and just letting go of what you're used to doing, your habits, and then asking yourself the question, what are the possibilities? And then think about that for your friends and your family. Maybe you have a friend or family member that's just really bored and doesn't like what they're doing. You could do this together. You could sit down at dinner or breakfast or once a week or whenever, go for walks, and you could talk about, what life would I have if I lived differently? At this point, I'm 60 years old, and if I had the ability to go back in time, I would live a completely different life. I would live a life without making some of the tragic mistakes that I made when I was younger, but I know for sure that even that said, I would still experience challenges, and that's part of life. So doing something different, finding some purpose for ourselves will include challenges, no matter what. If we went back in time, sure, we might think we could make everything perfect, but that just isn't true, because the fact is we're consciousness living in a human body. Now we come here not recalling our life before being here, but if we did, would life be that much better? So let's say you came into this life and you remembered everything, maybe other lives you lived before now. Well, wouldn't it be grand? You could just sit back and go, oh, I know the answers to everything. But that's the point of why we're here. We come into this body and we don't remember. We're going to do this over and over and over again. Our consciousness is coming here for a reason, and that's to learn how to love. Not how to please everybody, not how to be a shining example, just let all that go. It's really a waste of time. But being love, just being kind to yourself, being in a state of where you accept life, whatever it offers in the moment, and being neutral to and okay with everything that's going on, that's being present, and that's being a loving person. So if you're in the presence of a stranger in the grocery store and they seem to be just spouting off and saying all kinds of weird stuff, and maybe they're half crazy, who knows, you don't have to react to it. You can just observe it, and if there's anything you can do is just be present, you know or if it's just a waste of your time and you don't think it's any purpose in that, then you just walk on and you just don't let it bother you. But I've seen people just get completely bent out of shape because somebody was doing something, and they'll be talking about it 5 days later. Well, how much time and energy of their life did they spend investing in something that had no real purpose other than to make themselves feel bad? So that's the same way with memory. We're going to have tons of experiences, and some of them are good and some of them aren't. And how effective is it to spend our time kicking ourselves, regretting things that did or didn't happen, when the present moment right now is asking us for our full, undivided attention? And if our full, undivided attention is doing something that maybe we'd rather not be doing, or spent on things that we regret or wish we could have changed, how effective is that? It's completely ineffective. So life purpose is finding a place within yourself where you can just be accepting of who you are and what you're doing. And if you don't like it, you just change it. You just do something else. Because finding a way to find peace and joy in your life is going to translate to everyone else around you. How many times have you been in the presence of somebody and they're just dissatisfied with their life? They just can't stand what they've been doing. They don't like the job they've been doing. They don't like the relationship they're in. They don't like, a vehicle or house they own. It doesn't matter what it is, but they just keep putting up with it because they're used to it. It's habit. And that's understandable. That's part of being human. We're creatures of habit. But we're not computer programs. We're not software. There is no subconscious mind. So just change it up. Decide to do something different. If you want to change, make a list and just get it done. And it may sound a little simple, but it really is. It's that simple. It's as simple as us just deciding we want to do something else. And sometimes it's a quick thing. It can happen in a day, and other times it may take months to extrapolate yourself out of a mechanism that you've built over months, years, or decades. So just keep your chin up, and once you realize that whatever change or direction you want to go is really what you want, that is going to create the peace and the energy to go in that direction. Once you accept that anything really is possible, that, even if you have insurmountable bills or just relationships that are just like, how the heck am I ever going to get out of this? There are solutions. Some things may take longer than others, but that's okay. But there's also the concept that we know, and that's that our mind creates our reality. And it does it when we just let go. It's as simple as, it would be kind of nice if this happened, and then it does. I remember not so long ago, I was thinking of just the idea of finding a vehicle that wasn't in too bad a shape, fixing it up, and selling it. And I looked and looked and looked on Craigslist and other platforms to try to find a vehicle. Wanted to find one an owner had owned, so it was more personable. They had the history of the vehicle. And no matter what, I spent 2 or 3 weeks looking for one. I finally got frustrated, and I just set down my computer and I walked through the house, and in the middle of the living room, I said out loud, maybe somebody will just give me a car that I can work on and fix up and sell. 2 days later, somebody texted me because I had posted an ad looking to buy a used vehicle. Somebody texted me and said, hey, we have a car that our father owned since the time it was new. It's in really good shape, but we just don't want it anymore. It's got all flat tires and a dead battery. Would you like it? Because you can have it for free. I went over there, and it turned out that the people only lived about 400 yards from where I was. So right around the corner, a couple that texted me, I went over there. The vehicle had never been in a wreck. Inside, it was all original, looked basically brand new. And I spent a couple months fixing it up, giving it a little bit of an edge, and I ended up selling it and making a profit off it. And so stuff like that happens all the time. Now, if it doesn't happen, don't worry about it. That's why it doesn't happen. So just let it go. Focus on something else. The quickest way to manifest something that you want is to just keep busy. And I don't mean just to be busy just for the sake of busyness. I mean to focus on what you really want. If you're focusing on what you really want, then you'll pay less attention to things that you're trying to manifest. The fact is your mind, if it's occupied with creating your own purpose, whether it's that day or your goal for the year or the next 10 years, if you're busy just focusing on what you're wanting to create and taking the steps to do it, then thoughts that arise to you like, it'd be kind of nice to meet the perfect partner, or, it would be a fun thing to go on a trip to Hawaii. Who knows? This has happened so many times. I've heard so many stories. Somebody wanted to take a trip, and there you go. Some relative, friend at work, or whatever, gives them all paid airplane tickets to some location. This stuff happens all the time, every day, and it will for you, and it has. If you look back on your life, you'll think, gosh, that seemed like a coincidence. But there aren't any coincidences. There's simply an alignment of your mind and a creation of what you need or don't need. Well, you need it. You may think you don't need it, but if you're creating things you don't want, you just need to change your focus and your mind and let stuff go. So that's my message for today. Find your life purpose. Sit back and think about what you really want. It's not that hard. And talk to your friends. It may be something that if you speak to your friends or people you're in relationship with and say, hey, if you imagined a life for me, what would that be like? They might tell you things that you never even thought of. Somebody might tell me, I could see you giving TED Talks or being on stage somewhere or traveling around the world and helping people. And I might think, geez, are you kidding? I never even thought of that myself. Why would you say that? And so then they might give you a reason why that would be. And so you might look at your own life and somebody might say, geez, you've always been good with, creative things or mechanical things or organizing space. Why don't you be an interior decorator? Or why don't you go do this or go do that? So purpose is there, wherever you want it to be. Just sit back, ask yourself some questions, let go of the stuff you don't need, things that you're used to, slowly draw yourself out of them. But find a path for yourself, write things down, give yourself a chance. Everybody can have a chance. As long as you're breathing, you're in your body, you've got a chance to live a life that you want to live. And, it's pretty short. I'm 60, but it doesn't matter if you're 85. If you're 85 years old, you could totally reinvent yourself. Maybe you've always wanted to redecorate your house in 50s style or new fashion. Who knows? Maybe you wanted to become, a singer. Then go do it. There's probably some place local or move there that allow you to sing. Why not pass, the goal, go past the things that you don't want or you're used to find the things find the things you really do. So this is my word for today, finding purpose. And I wish all of you can use any of this information that I've offered. And no matter where you are, it doesn't matter. Just look around, use your imagination. That's the most powerful thing a human being has. People are fearing AI, but you know what? AI is a great thing. It can help in a lot of ways. But the one thing it doesn't have is it doesn't have the imagination that we do. Now, that's something that there's no way anybody could take away from you. You're always going to have that. It doesn't matter how old you are. You could be a little kid or an older person. It doesn't matter. We all have the same imagination because we are imagination. We're imagination in a human body. So enjoy your day. Think about these things, and maybe the next time you watch another one of my videos, you'll have taken a step toward that. So thank you, and I appreciate your time.